Last week we talked about being overwhelmed, which is having too much to do, but we hear a lot also, and may have at one point experienced personally, feeling like, but I feel like I need to do more. So it's kind of these two opposite extremes that we can get into.
Yeah, and I usually feel both at the same time.
Yes.
Is that normal?
Yes. So we're totally overwhelmed, but at the same time we think we're not doing enough.
Right.
So how does that work?
I don't know how that works. What kind of advice do you have to give all of us?
I don't know. Yes.
Do you have that figured
I struggle
out?
with that too. I think each of us have to answer for ourselves, what is enough, really?
Yeah.
You know, because we tend to have these kind of vague standards out there that may have come from anywhere from parents to first grade teacher to, you know, an old high school boyfriend. Who knows how they got in there? And a lot of times we just say, okay, your version of enough is what God's version of enough is for me too. Mm-hmm. So maybe just taking a step back and saying, what is really required of me?
Yeah.
And am I living under anything that is actually not a burden I'm meant to carry?
Right. What is His dream through me? That's my God-sized dream. That's what I'm responsible for carrying out for Him and His kingdom and His church and those that I come in contact with and those that I may never know. Mm-hmm. And so I think that doing more usually for me leads to guilt. Mm-hmm. And I know that guilt is not from the Lord. Like that's only from the enemy, creating in me a do more, wear yourself out so you're actually not any good for the kingdom. And that you usually are so distracted by the things that everyone else is doing or that should be on your list and aren't, that you end up not doing the very thing that God's called you to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think in our culture now through internet and TV and all different ways, like we can literally see endless possibilities of what we could do or should do.
I call it the Pinterest syndrome where, you see the lifestyles of everybody that's famous, that has more money than you, more anything than you, has a different call in their life, has, different giftings. It's that Pinterest syndrome where we see all of these perfect ways that we could cook dinner or that we could do our kid's bedroom or have our wedding. And we think, well, it has to be that way because someone else pulled it off. So I have to do that too, plus everything else that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I think, you're totally right. It's just that comparing gets us in trouble every time and distracts us from really what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I love how Jesus, at the end of one of the Gospels, he's chatting with Peter, who's always saying fun stuff, which makes me feel better. But they're having a conversation, and then he's like, what about him, Lord? And he points to John, and Jesus is like, basically, so what about him? Like, you follow me. And I think that's a great kind of get your focus back, narrow in again on just what I've specifically called you to do. And I think the way we know when we begin to do that is when our joy starts coming back. Because that's the first thing that goes when we either get totally overwhelmed or feel like I'm not doing enough, is all of a sudden the joy in things we really used to have joy in kind of disappears. Mm-hmm.
There should never be a feeling of total exhaustion for no reason. Mm-hmm. You should feel really energized when you have joy, because sometimes people think like, well, what does joy feel like? Like, how will I know really? Mm-hmm. It's not happiness. It's not like a moment of, a fleeting moment of happiness, but it's more contentment. And it's energizing that you actually want to, and it doesn't really feel like work. Mm-hmm. You don't ever say, I have to go do fill in the blank. Yeah. You want to, and you desire it, and you'd rather scratch everything off that crazy list of yours and do just that.
Yeah. And I love how there's a verse that says, in your presence is fullness of joy. So I think we can look to joy as kind of something that gives us direction in life. Mm-hmm. We tend to think, oh, that's not spiritual, or if I have joy, it's selfish, or I need to be suffering all the time. And absolutely, if you're watching this and you're a hard season or you're going through depression or something like that, that's totally different. This is just, normal life and specifically related to your calling. But it is okay to pursue joy, because when you pursue joy, you're really pursuing God. And so that, I think, ultimately is what helps us stay away from those two extremes, either being overwhelmed or feeling like we need to do more. When we seek Him and seek joy, then we end up in the middle, which is in His hands.
Right.
So
And what I love about that is that business is not outside of that.
Absolutely.
That your passion for your Etsy shop or your indie biz or your blog or your new book or whatever you got working, that that is not outside of that realm of seeking Him and His face and finding that joy. That is fully under His realm, and that He wants that to be a part of His kingdom and what He has planned. So it just may look really different than everybody else's story, and that's okay. Yep. So pursue joy, not pursue more. How about that?
Yes, I like that.
Is that
good one?
All right. That's short, succinct. Let's make a t-shirt.
There you go.
Pursue joy, not pursue more. Thanks for watching.